Kerouac tonight. Olympia Zorba Music Hall, the tribute to David Amram. And I don't know about anybody else, but I feel David is present with us in spirit, and we're gonna raise some spirits right now because we have a phenomenal band that's coming up. I'm going to introduce them one at a time. Kevin Twig on drums, ladies and gentlemen. Renee Hart on bass. And Don Davis on saxophone. And they are going to be performing. We're going to bring up the poets who paid tribute to David Amram earlier, Meg Smith and George Wallace. And then we are going to bring up the one and only John Sinclair to close out the evening with some jazz poetry. But first, I'm going to give it to this wonderful band. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming out to Lowell Celebrates Kerouac. And let's hear it one more time for our hosts here, Olympia Zorba Music Hall, who create the space in which we now exist. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming out. Let me give it to the band.
Yes, it's good to see you all. So we'd like to play one of David's pieces that he rarely does, and a lot of people ask for, and I love. We're going to play the theme from The Manchurian Candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Say, I love David's composing, his all his classical music and his film scores and stuff, and they're very like the internal. I'm getting a little nerdy here, but the internal voicings in his chords. He's all about the movement that's in between the melody and the bass notes, and watching him, it's like his compositions are like when you're playing with him, only like if he had infinite time to think about each thing he did in that second. So. I love that song. Yeah. How about some Ornette Coleman, huh? He's got to do it.
Yeah, I'll just play. Here. Something like that.
Mingus?
Yeah, nostalgia or goodbye.
Nostalgia.
Okay.
Charles Mingus, yay or nay? Yeah, right. Yay? Yeah. Obviously, right? Is that even a question, really? Come on. I mean, I know he's not Greek, but we can still do. We can do Mingus and Zorbas.
Some people do these in different keys, so every once in a while we have to ask.
We like to do them in the same key. F.
F and right.
Can we do that? I don't know what you're doing.
Here we go.
That's Don Davis on the sax of my thingy right there. And my comrade in David's band, the very popular Kevin Twig on drums. We almost don't even know what to do without David, but apparently we did something. So maybe is it time? Is it time to bring up the poets? Or we're playing more? Meg. Yeah. Is Meg Smith in the house? There she is. I don't know how I became the MC, but usually when they give me the microphone, it's just a little.
I heard my name, so here I am. Thank you for that wonderful introduction and for the wonderful music of Renee Hart, Kevin Twig, the man on the sticks, Don Davis on sax, and I think David will be really wicked super proud of you all, and I hope he's proud of all of us. And thank you for celebrating his spirit and his incredible legacy of music. So I've been asked to read a couple of poems, and I'm honored to do that. And I'm really excited because this is my brand new book of poetry, Straw, Feathers, Bones. And literally a box of them arrived at my house today. So I'd like to read a couple of poems from that I think speak to the Lowell spirit. And really privileged to have this music playing with me as well. So the first poem I'd like to read is a poem dedicated to Larry. It's called The City of Blue Ghosts, and it's about some quiet moments actually after his memorial service, which was not so quiet because we made a lot of loud, joyful noise. So this is The City of Blue Ghosts, which to me is what Lowell truly is. Tasks I've completed here, walking over cobblestones at night, casting funerary flowers from the lip of the marina, talking of love on a stage emptied, except for wristlets of ivy. And such things dance or sigh, simply carry themselves along a breeze between storefronts. I will rise to my summons here and dance among them. And the river will carry our laughter and sighs. Thank you, and thank all of you. Poem I wrote a couple of years back, actually it was after a tour, the 2021 Lowell Celebrates Kerouac Festival, and something really occurred to me, which was how much, we talk about a lot of recurring themes in Kerouac's writing, but one of which struck me that time on that very ghostly tour was birds, that his work is, and his dreams are filled with birds. So this poem is called Kerouac's Birds. In every haiku, the rustle of wings wakes the loneliness of a desolate mountain. And nothing much has changed, but the fires grow hotter, deeper, and the songs more than warnings to take flight. It bears little to plead with the poets of the past, but I will tell you, when I came home to our house in Lowell, the bare lilac tree of March in the alley was foreclosed by 2 mourning doves. A bivouac in the late winter storm. Always and forever to Kerouac's birds and Kerouac's words, forever in flight. Thank you so much. So, I have a wonderful poet friend, one of my wonderful poet friends named Jackie Oldham, and she loves taking pictures of the sky. And I thought about her voyages through the sky through both her pictures and poems. So I wrote this poem for her, for Jackie Oldham. It's called The Country of the Sky. This place I dream, awake for you, always for you, weightless, blue, peopled with islands of ice and streams of fire. With it, songs become crystals, testifying to the coming of a day's warmth. A crimson slash will forbear warnings of the storms to come. It will summon night simply by losing the sun to the other side of a world aching. But this too gives a gift of goodness, the light of suns far, far away. Light undaunted by travel or time, a beacon never dimmed. Or Jackie in the Country of the Sky. Thank you. Thank you so much. I would like to just share one last poem, and I thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me and to the band. And as David Amram himself often said, we've all been rehearsing for years, just with different people. So, living here in Lowell means to spend a lot of time by the Merrimack River, which carries much of our history. It carries the secrets and the stories of the people who have lived along its banks for millennia. And on Christmas Eve, the year that Larry, my husband Lawrence Carradine, passed away, I went down to the Merrimack because we used to spend a lot of time down there talking and thinking and spending time with the waterfowl, including the ducks. So this last poem I'd like to share with you tonight from my book, Straw, Feathers, Bones. It's called Ducks in Heaven. And I dedicate this reading to Larry, who I'm sure is here just as he always is. Ducks in Heaven. A fire splashes on the Merrimack, even along its silver elbows, and nothing is taken as granted here. Well, we know this view is not the same view as so many others, for whom this same river runs gray from tears or with the passage of broken sleep. The only shore passengers are ducks, with dusty feathers and sullen comment that nevertheless does not judge. And you, scientist, cousin of all waterfowl, reader of their laws, conduit of their sighs, flow forward. The song will sound from rocky banks, even as cars and music blur past, even as a new call cries out from every traffic island, every memory. One of them made it here right now, making a splash. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all for being here and helping us to send a big shout out to David Amram. Please enjoy the rest of the program. And as Mike said, we're really grateful and send all our love to our hosts here at the Zorba. And there's plenty more to come. And wherever your travels take you this weekend and wherever you go, whether near or far, I hope you will bring this joy and music with you as you have brought to us. Thank you.
What about these guys? Put your hands together for these guys. No way.
Yeah.
No way. It's better that way.
Well, Kevin and I go with
All right, I got two poems for you. This one is by Kevin's request. You know, I've never thought that a jazz poem has to be about jazz. It just have to have jazz in it. But this one happens to be, hopefully, a jazz poem with jazz in it. I wrote it after the 2000, possibly 2001, Lowell celebrates Kerouac. First time up, I got up on stage up here with David and Kevin and the crew. It's called The Bass Player, and he wanted to do something with it. Now, when Kevin wants to do something with a poem, you go with it, because he's just got this great talent for understanding how to sniff out the music behind the thing. So he's going to start this thing off, and we're going to see where it goes. It's called The Bass Player, so kick it off. Yeah, that's good. I like particularly how he chews down hard on something while he plays. A peanut shell, a sunflower seed, a stick of gum, or the metal end of a string, looking worried and not so worried at the same time in blue stage light. How he blunts the bass. Soft fingertip triplets. And the catgut sound it makes, just on beat or off beat or no beat at all, some little interesting thing, some little thing that just might lead to something even more interesting, something new and previously never heard before. I like how he stands there, cool and contemplative on the edge of the stage. Cleveland, St. Louis, Kansas City, Davenport, Iowa, some ordinary unconsecrated roadhouse in Des Moines, eyes round as a well-rolled cigarette or a pitcher of beer, opening them up while the singer closes his own eyes. Undisturbed, concentrated, fueled by the motion of two grown men with saxophones and light shining off of their brass instruments. The light shining off their brass instruments. Head bobbing with sweat to an alternated 5/4 beat. The instruments growling like two pistons in the advent engine of a powerful old piece of farm equipment. And everybody in the joint wrapped up in defensive darkness. Farm boys, seed grain clerks, John Deere tractor salesmen, well-fed wives and girlfriends, everybody in the joint, their eyes on the shimmering blue, green, and red world created just for them, just for tonight, to break them of their shyness for each other. And there is an orphanage of pain. And there is the momentary end of pain in it. I mean, I particularly like the shape of the music as it grapples and groans off the stage and into the world, how it moves along with the shish and grain of American industry in a rainy, circular, uninhibited motion. I like, of course, the drummer. His brushstroke whispering, his short grip on the drumstick. Everybody in the joint, I mean everybody in the joint, their guts reply to the drummer. The confusion of his rising and falling hands, the sweat pit of his arms, drum skins, hi-hat, cymbals, huge thumping tub of a big bass drum. Everybody in the joint crashing with it. Everybody in the joint drunk on the rhythm. But the bass player, the bass player, never a wrong note. An imperturbable man. Never a wrong note. An imperturbable man on the bass. With that beatific smile of his. So cool in all the chaos and music and hate. I particularly like that. That was okay. That was good. I like the Retsina in this joint, too. David was right. The Retsina in this place is excellent. All right, being from the well-known birthplace and representing them tonight, I will read a poem by Walt Whitman, which I believe represents something about all of us and our welcoming of different cultures and different people to the table at all times. It's called Salute au Monde. Let's get that soprano sax in. What do you see, Walt Whitman? I see all the menials of the earth laboring. I see all the prisoners in their prisons. I see the defensive human bodies of the earth, the blind, the deaf, the dumb, the idiots, the hunchbacks, the lunatics, the pirates, the thieves, betrayers, murderers, slave makers of the earth, the helpless infants, and the helpless old men and women. I see male and female everywhere. I see the serene brotherhood of philosophers. I see ranks, colors, barbers, and civilizations, and I go among them. I mix indiscriminately. And I salute all the inhabitants of the earth. You, whoever you are, all you continentals of Asia, Africa, Europe, Australia, indifferent of place, all of you on the numberless islands of the archipelagos of the sea, and you of centuries hence, when you listen to me, everywhere, you must specify not, but include just the same. Health to you, goodwill to you all. from me and America sent. Each of us, inevitable. Each of us, limitless. Each of us with his or her right upon the earth. Each of us allowed the eternal purports of the earth. Each of us here as divinely as any is here. Toward you all. In America's name, I raise high the perpendicular hand. Walt Whitman. Thank you very much. All right, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it from Meg Smith and George Wallace. And let's hear it for the band, Mr. Rene Hart on bass, Kevin Twig on drums, and Don Davis on sax. Plus, and coming to the stage is our featured reader tonight, the one and only John Sinclair.
I want to remind you all, we're in the presence of greatness right now.
Happy belated birthday to John Sinclair, who just turned 82 years old.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, fellas. We're gonna have a good time here tonight. I'll make just a few comments about my boy, David Amram, and the great Jack Kerouac. On October 2nd, 1957, I turned 16 years old. About 2 weeks before that, they published On the Road by Jack Kerouac. I got it as soon as it came out. And it altered my life. And today, I don't know how many years later, I can't count anymore, but I'm still the same guy that read the fucking book by Jack Kerouac. And I read all of his books. And then I listened to all of his recordings. And then I had the brilliant opportunity, and I think it was 1996. They brought the Insomniac-a-thon to New Orleans, where I was in residence. And I had a really fine band, and I had a featured spot on this great poetic event called the Insomniac-a-thon, 24 hours of poetry without a break. And so I got this really nice band with 2 saxophones, full rhythm. And I started my set, and I looked over, and there's a guy on French horn in my band. Wait a minute, that's Amram. Jesus Christ. Amram and Jack Kerouac invented what I do. In October 1957, they had the first jazz and poetry concert in New York City. And they did many, many after that. They loved working together. So I love being here, and I love coming because I usually get to hang with Amram. And I felt so bad, it broke my heart when I heard he was sick this year. I wrote a poem for him. My pal Frenchie, the great painter in New Orleans, who's from Lowell, he brought me here. I told Frenchie that he was from Lowell and that Jack Kerouac was from Lowell, and he should look into the Lowell Celebrates Kerouac. So he started coming here for that, and this year he sent me here. And then he called and said he couldn't come because our friend, the great drummer Russell Batiste, passed away last week. and he was commissioned by the family of Russell to paint a portrait of the great drummer that could go in his coffin. So he's painting that as we speak. And then it will go on Tuesday after the funeral. It'll go into the coffin. Pretty heavy duty. I don't know if you know who Russell Baptiste is, but he is about the greatest drummer in New Orleans, the greatest musical city in the universe. So that's where Frenchie is. I'm supposed to express his regrets for not being here. Okay. What were we going to start with? No, we were going to start. Yeah, we were. You're right. The slow blues. I'm committed to the music of Thelonious Monk in much the way that Amram and Jack Kerouac have been over the years. They led me into this practice. I've written since 1982. I'm writing a poem for every number that Thelonious Monk ever recorded. I'm about 3/4 of the way there. I started a blues book at the same time, and that's been done for 20 years. Okay, pardon me, boy. You ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hit it. Pardon me, boy. Pardon me, boy. Is you gonna shine my shoes? Pardon me, boy. Pardon me, boy. Ain't you gonna shine my shoes? That's why monks blue. Wouldn't you be blue too? Wouldn't you be blue? All my life I've paid and paid until my dues card is punched up on all 4 sides. A child of relative privilege who chose to take the way of the lowest, race traitor and renegade, beatnik, poet, dope fiend, living from hand to mouth and euro to euro, sleeping on the couches and extra beds of my friends, a man without a country and a post office box in New Orleans for a permanent address, a prepay Vodafone and a laptop computer, one suitcase stuffed with clothing and a bag full of manuscripts and hand-burnt CDs. To keep my head straight and my heart right, to keep up my travels and carry on the struggle into another new year, taking my little verses and great big world outlook everywhere people will have me. In the beginning of the modern, you can play some more blues. In the beginning of the modern era, in Harlem, in the early days of the new music, in days of war, when Bird and Diz and Monk made it all start to happen. In Harlem, late at night, the music hit hard and deep. Monk and Bird and Dizzy turned the music around and made it fit what was happening in New York City. The war, the sound of modern city life in Harlem or in Midtown, downtown. Monk and Bird and Dizzy made the music fit. They made it fit. They made the music come to life. They made life come to the music. They made it bloom. Bloom Dido. Bloom Dido. Bloom Diddy. Bop, bop, bop. They made it bloom like a gigantic flower or millions of flowers in a magnificent garden. Bop. They gave it life and made it bloom. Dido. Bop. And great flowers emerged in the middle of the night. They made it bloom. They gave it life. They made it all happen at once. Bloom Dido. How about one more on the blues, though? That's a Charlie Parker number, if you didn't recognize it, called Now's the Time. Not later, but right now is the time. Any day can be the lucky one, or the one with your number written all over it. 1, 2, 3, 507 in the poet's case, walking out the front door of the penitentiary, 8:30 p.m., 14 years ago this writing. 2 times 7 years, the cycle of struggle to make it through in one piece, on the yard or in these streets. Anyone who can pick up a frying pan owns death, Burroughs said. And sometime in New York City, coming home from the recording studio, walking up to his front door, John Lennon with a gun stuck in his face. Oh, oh, sweet giant of song, with heart of huge dimension and eyes deep in the sky. There has to be a day when each of us must pass beyond this tedious sphere to enter some wondrous place of which we do not know whether we're ready or not. Some other place or space out of time where no punk with a weapon will ever press you again or blow off your face out of the depths of his madness. No one will hold us against our will in a cell with bars in front and back, 6 feet by 4 feet by 8 feet high. No one will take us out of our natural lives and send us away from here by means of some murderous fantasy in which we are denied everything we have lived for. Oh, please, let us die at the end of our own time and not before. Free in our world of strife, let us have life as long as we can. And please, let there be men like Monk and John Lennon to share of their hearts and light up our ways as long as we may live. Thank you. It's called Friday the 13th. Thank you. Okay. What are we going to do next? Man, I can't remember shit. You have a rehearsal and then you forget everything that you were supposed to remember. In the middle of the night, on the east side of Detroit, off behind Mac and Gratiot on Heidelberg Street. In the middle of the night, on the east side of Detroit, off behind Mac and Gratiot on Heidelberg Street, where a lot of old houses be burnt out or just falling apart, and big weeds be growing up where there used to be houses on Heidelberg Street in the middle of the night when the moon is high in the sky and people would be asleep in their beds dreaming of new refrigerators full of groceries for their babies and maybe a new car outside or a number they can hit tomorrow. Put it in a box, drag a bunch of boxes out in the empty lot across the street, paint them all different colors, hang a pink bicycle up in a tree painted polka dot, nail some old plastic doll bodies and maybe some road signs up on the front porch next door where the people been gone so long, and stick in a telephone booth, put a television on the porch roof and plug it in, change the channel once or twice, a toy airplane and a bird cage on the top of the house, some plastic legs sticking out the front window, all different colors of paint and objects of every description stuck or nailed on somehow all over the abandoned house. Sometimes a thing just needs some stripes, says Grandpa, 91, who can see the things that maybe we can't in the middle of the night, like the doll in the attic window. She's reaching out for help. And the line of doors in the field in the vacant lot across the street. They came from old refrigerators and wrecked taxi cabs. They standing there, cocked every which way. And down on the corner of Ellery, they got 3 big old vacant lots. One got a raggedy boat in it, filled with junk tires. One got a pile of oil drums, painted up in bright colors. The other one got more doors, all lined up in a row. Like Tyree say, there are so many openings in life, you just have to pick the right ones. The music comes up in the background out of the little speaker on the radio by the porch. It's Thelonious with Charlie Rouse, Monk's Dream, and the people's indoors sleeping turn over in their beds, a smile on their faces. They know in their dreams it's just Tyree and Karen and Grandpop out there on Heidelberg Street in the middle of the night, turning their neighborhood inside out. Yeah, fellas. Where is this goddamn thing? Okay. I'm going to read my new poem I wrote for Amram if I can find it. If I can find the motherfucker. Jesus Christ. It's pitiful. Where is it? Okay, here it is. Working right in here. Okay. Frenchie, when he called me to say he wanted me to come up here this year for the Jack Kerouac Festival. Oh, and I wanted to say earlier, I've been coming to the Jack Kerouac Festival for quite a few years. I used to come before they would recognize me in any way as part of the activities. So I would come to Lowell, and I would book myself into the Wortham Bar or some other joint and do my show. And they just ignored me. So one year I booked myself into an art gallery on the west side of town. I can't call the name of it. But the guy who was the new head of the Kerouac Festival happened to be there and caught my show, and he said, "Man, I like that." I said, "Well, I've been trying to get you to listen to me for about 15 years, motherfucker." So finally they hired me, you know. It was a great feeling. Because I can't tell you how much I worship Jack Kerouac. I'm nothing without Jack Kerouac. And being with Amram, who invented what I do, this is what I do for 60 years now, and they started it. So it's just such a thrill to be with Amram, and I wanted to read you this poem. It's called Ooh Bop Shabam, Amram, Amram. There was this kid growing up on a farm in Pennsylvania who wanted to be a musician and a composer of music, and did so by the age of 11, playing the trumpet, the piano, and the French horn, and writing music of his own every day instead of playing baseball, say, or going to the movies, or anything but the relentless pursuit of his music and his development as a teenage intellectual and lifelong weirdo who composed thousands of pieces for every conceivable ensemble and could conduct his orchestras as well. A brilliant mastermind of music who was tight with Dizzy Gillespie and Thelonious Monk in the late 1940s, ran a jam session out of his tiny basement apartment in Washington, D.C. in the early 50s, where Charlie Parker and hundreds of other cats would crowd the room and make their incredible music. And on the bandstands of Harlem and 52nd Street, and wherever the genius cats would gather to pursue their artistic ambitions, ooh bop shabam, Amram, Amram, ooh bop shabam, David Amram. And in October of 1957, Amram and Jack Kerouac staged the first jazz and poetry event in New York City, with many more to follow. Plus the Alfred Leslie film, Pull My Daisy, in 1959, shot by Robert Frank, with Kerouac, Allen Ginsberg, Gregory Corso, and Larry Rivers, with music composed by Amram, always on the set, always with his horns in his hands, and a bag full of flutes and exotic percussion instruments, always ready to take the piano or put his French horn to his lips or shake a tail feather, or until everything that can and must be said has been said. and then heads back to his desk and his manuscripts and his transcriptions day after day, year after year, now in his 90s and still killing his audiences wherever he goes. And he never stops going. He never stops. He goes and goes and goes. Ooh, bop, she bam. Amram, Amram. Ooh, bop, she bam. The one and only David Amram. Thank you. Can't wait. I wrote that to read it with Amram up here on stage, so now they're gonna have to play it for him in the goddamn hospital. Well, that's good though. 93 years old, man. That's something to look forward to. I'm 82, so that ain't nothing to 93. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, fellas, and good night.
Sort of reminds me of the last gig I did with David, which is, I don't do a lot of gigs with him, but it was in Brooklyn, and it was a late night, and it was a nice scene. We did nice music, all this stuff. And you know, David always has a lot of stuff with him, equipment, and it was the end of the night, and everybody was going home, and he was in Brooklyn, and I'm going out the door, and I see him carrying his bags of stuff, and his big necklaces on, and all this stuff. I said, David, where are you going? He says, well, I'm gonna get a cab to Grand Central Station, and then I'm gonna catch a bus, you know, up to Beacon. And I said, you're crazy, man. I couldn't picture him sitting in Grand Station, you know, Grand Central Station. So, yeah, hop in, I'll give you a ride. And of course, he talked to me the whole way up. It was a really nice experience. But that's the kind of energy this guy has. And this wasn't too many years ago. He's ready to jump, walk, go anywhere, wait for a train, just to do a gig and hang out with some people. Amazing.
Absolutely. Don Davis, ladies and gentlemen, Renee Hart, Kevin Twigg, and let's hear it for the amazing, legendary John Sinclair. I got your stuff right here, man. I'll bring it over in just a second. It's been a phenomenal night, but it's not quite over. The band's going to take it for a couple more numbers. I really want to thank everybody for coming out here. For Lowell Celebrates Kerouac, John Sinclair, George Wallace, Meg Smith, everybody who participated in tonight, everybody who's here. This assemblage of people will never actually happen again. It's happening right now. So we're going to give it back to the band. Thank you guys all for coming out for Lowell Celebrates Kerouac, and stick around all weekend.
How about that history, folks? Yo, amazing. Hey, and I realized earlier a napkin showed up on stage and it had some requests on it. Either that or they're just random words that add up to song titles. But they were requests. One of them we can't do because it's our most expensive number. But the other one, we're going to play one of them. Just because maybe that person's still here. Usually the requests come on like $50 bills, but this will work.
And imagine David, you know, playing some keys here.
Try the V, I'll be here all night. Okay, well, pork pie, this pork pie. Oh, that was quick. We're flying the moment, man. We're like in the moment.
There's all these cameras around here anyway.
You want to do something up front?
Because this guy here, that's all you can say.
Yeah. Just want to do something up front? Charles Mingus tune, folks.
Don Davis, Kevin Twigg, Ray Hart, thank you very much. And John Sinclair. George Wallace, Ray Smith.
Let's hear it one more time for this phenomenal band, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Kevin Twigg, Renee Hart, and the incomparable Don Davis with an amazing tribute to Amram on the double flute band. Absolutely mind-blowing.
Also, this is the first time we've played together.
Yeah, absolutely. Best rehearsal ever, right? These guys are phenomenal, and I have to make a special note of that because this was pulled together when we got the unfortunate news that David had to quarantine, right? But I can't believe how much of his spirit was imbued in this room and in this space tonight. And I want to thank all of you for being here for that. Thank you for coming out for Lowell Celebrates Kerouac. Please check out some of our other events. Drive safe and tip your wait staff here. We're back here tomorrow night at Olympia Zorba Music Hall with another great show. With Glass Onion, Robin Lane Band, and then the party band closing it out. So it's going to be phenomenal. Thank you guys for coming. Have a great night. Let's hear it one more time for these amazing people. That's all.